Classic Game Shrine, everyone, and happy Pokemon Month. As many of you know, February marks the 20th anniversary of the Pokemon franchise, and since it is going to mark the 20th anniversary, and I'm a bit of a Pokemaniac, I was going to make a top 10 list featuring some of the best games that I've played in the Pokemon franchise. And trust me, I've played a lot. I mean, look at my collection. Okay, in this top 10 I'm going to include spin-offs, however, I'm not going to include individual games. For instance, like red, blue, and yellow. I'm not going to have number 7 say be red and then number 4 be yellow. They're just going to be the same number included as the same title. So, without further ado, let's go. Pokemon Typing Adventure is a fairly obscure Pokemon title and pretty much makes my list simply because of its obscurity. Not too many people know about it, but when I had heard about it on, I think it was Cerebi.net, I immediately thought back to the days when I was a kid and I was first learning to type with Mario Teaches Typing, an old DOS game. Shows my age, I know. But for my younger viewers, I guess you can think of it as a sort of like a Typing of the Dead clone. However, you get to catch and battle your favorite Pokemon while typing out the correct letters that are prompted on the screen. Now, the even better part about this is if you have a XL system to play it on, you have a bigger screen to see the letters. It's great for people of all ages, especially if you have children that want to explore video gaming. And the freaking soundtrack is great, believe it or not. And it's region free. If you purchase the European version, it's also English, so that's what I did. And it comes in 2 colors, comes in white and black to, you know, commemorate the games of the main series that came out at the time. But definitely worth picking up. It's actually pretty cheap, 20 bucks. Get it. Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I haven't even finished this game yet. And it's because growing up, I never had a GameCube, and this was one of the titles that I missed out on. And I really regret having missed out on it. It is one of the best home Pokemon games ever. Not to say that there has been that many afterwards, but it's one of the few Pokemon games where you can actually go and explore a world. You get to capture different types of Pokemon. These are the dark types of Pokemon, or the shadow Pokemon. And there's a whole new villain team, and it's awesome. You really need to go and try it out. And honestly, Nintendo, if you're watching this, because you might be watching it to file a copyright claim with music, however, if you're going to pay attention to anything, pay attention and make another one of these for a current console. Maybe the NX? Listen. Pokemon Pinball, the original. I know. Why the hell is this on a top 10 list, let alone this far up on one? Truth is, it's a great game. Even people that aren't into Pokemon can really get behind this game, and it's beyond addicting. The goals of the game are simple. Catch all the Pokemon and get as many points as you can. That's right, you collect Pokemon in this. It's great. You have your whole Pokédex of 150, maybe 151, probably not, to catch in your Pokédex, and you can look them all up, just like you would in Red and Blue and Yellow, and it's fantastic. There is a Sapphire and Ruby one that came out, but it doesn't have force feedback like the original one does. Plus, I like the original Pokemon better than the 3rd gen. Also, on top of that, it's just a little bit more feasible to catch 150 versus I think it was like 300 and something in Gen 3. Well worth a try, and usually I think you can pick them up for about 4 bucks, I think is what I got mine for. A really good bargain and a really good game that you'll spend hours and hours on like I do. Pokemon Snap. It's a rail shooter where you take pictures of Pokemon and throw things at them to make them do funny poses or really cool poses. Do I need to say more? You thought I was a Gen 1er, didn't you? Surprised you, didn't I? See, the reason that Red, Blue, and Yellow really didn't make it to number 1 on my list is because they're full of flaws. Plain and simple. The remakes polished a lot of that. But for a person like me that's grown up with it since day 1, it's a blast to play, and it's such a nostalgia trip. And for the younger players out there that haven't grown up with it, it really gives you a sense of appreciation to how far the games have come and how much crap we had to put up with when we were your age and younger. So I think everybody should give it a try. They are a bit popular. Prices can range somewhere between like $10 on up. If they're boxed or loose, it's, you know, that fluctuates the price, makes it different, but other than that, give it a try. Maybe you don't have to purchase it. If you want to purchase and play the Red and Blue and Yellow saga, you might want to do the remakes Fire Red and Leaf Green, if I'm honest. But Red, Blue, and Yellow, the music is great. The crappy graphics, they're just... Again, this is mostly nostalgia for me as to why it's so high on the list. So, I'm not even going to try and beat around the bush with it. I don't cry at movies. Hell, I didn't even cry at The Notebook. But the ending of these games had me in tears. These were my first ones to play out of the series, and my gosh, wow, hit me right in the feels. I mean, you grow so attached to your Pokemon and your partner Pokemon that when the ending comes, I was so depressed, I put the game down for like 2 days before I wanted to continue, only to find out that I was sad for no reason. Sorry for the slight spoiler, but my god, it was like a sick trick by a magician. It was like he just shot your dog in front of you, and as you're there crying, he goes and pulls your dog from behind your ear, and it's all okay. It's like a sick trick. Oh, but it's so good. You have to play him. The only other game that did that was Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, and I only just beat that now. So the two of them are technically tied. So Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon and the Darkness, Sky, and Time series are totally worth playing. Now I put these here instead of the original because I don't like the originals as much as the remakes. I'm sorry, Internet. I know you guys have this fond nostalgia boner over the third gens, but I just don't really see it. I was, I guess you can consider a Gen 1er back then. Since, I mean, there was only Gen 1 and 2. And I grew really attached to those Pokemon, and I wasn't able to bring them with me. Since it was new hardware, and they didn't figure a backwards compatible way to bring your Pokemon with you. So, that's why we have the new ones in here. The new ones are pretty much everything that the original third gens were, but polished a gazillion times better with gorgeous 3D graphics, new Pokemon, new features, and just made things like training and breeding a hell of a lot easier than it was back in the day. So it's definitely worth picking up now, and I'm hoping they continue to release content for it, because as of right now, they still are. And I'm taking advantage of it all. Got my Mew from GameStop the other day. The Sinnoh region? Yes, the Sinnoh region. I know a lot of people don't like this region that much, but I do. I feel too many people rush through it, and maybe it was because I had to live in the middle of nowhere for fucking 4 years that I had a lot of time to play these games and really appreciate them. But I feel everybody should go back and look at them because it has a lot to offer. I found the Pokemon to be really cute, the music wasn't too bad, the graphics were fairly polished for a DS game considering it was the first one on the DS, and it kind of gave us a glimpse into what 3D graphics would look like in, well, today's age. As well as that, you also got to use this awesome mining mechanic where you got to dig for fossils using your touchscreen, and you got to dig for revives and a whole bunch of other crap that I really like. I would love to see that brought back in games today. I used to spend hours. Now go back and play some Sinnoh, guys. You don't know what you're missing. Choose Chimchar. You want a game that'll make you feel like you just picked up Pokemon for the first time as a kid? At least if you're one of us old farts like myself, you're gonna want to pick up Pokemon X and Y. This game blew me away. Nothing like this had made me felt like this before. Since Red and Blue, at least. I picked it up, and it felt like I was 7 years old again, and it was fantastic. All the new Pokemon were great. They incorporated all of the older ones as well. Unlike what Black and White tried to do, and in my opinion failed miserably at, I really didn't like having to wait for my Pokemon that I was used to. But this, they let it go with a really nice even balance, and they gave so many little subtle hints to the Gen 1ers like myself, if you want to call me that. They had a little missing no hidden somewhere in one of the towns. The very first forest that you come to is an actual clone of Viridian Forest from Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Green. So it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And on top of that, they also, at least I feel, catered to the kids that grew up with the Pokegods, the fourth evolution after your final evolution, and having the Mega Evolutions kind of did that in real life for us, and it was really cool to see that finally happen. Half of my team is named after Pokemon god names, and while we don't get to walk with our Pokemon like we did in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they did create a more streamlined internet, interface so you can make trading with people across the globe a lot easier, same with battling. They also made a cute thing called Pokemon and Me, which is basically a Tamagotchi form of your Pokemon on your bottom screen of your DS. You can feed it, play with it, talk to it, make faces at it, pet it. It's, in my opinion, better than walking with your Pokemon because you can actually interact with it and pet it and touch it and feed it and see it more in a more interactive way than you would with it just trailing beside you or behind you. That's just my opinion, though. I'm sure as you all saw the honorable mentions, your ideas and thoughts of what number 1 could be went right out the window, and probably were wondering what the hell this was doing at number 1. Let me explain it to you. 50% nostalgia and 50% other things. Now, nostalgia is going to play a big part. I grew up with this, and as a child, Pokemon had a lot of lore and a lot of mystery since the internet wasn't really around, and the only way to get information was word of mouth from the school grounds, and if you were lucky, very early websites had some things. Now, during all that, there was a lot of rumors of new Pokemon, similar to how things are now. However, imagine not having the internet full of as much information as it has now. Maybe 1 or 2 pages on Pokemon, and they had about as much credibility as Fox News. That was 90s internet. So a lot of things got started then, and the Gen 2 games were not just games, they were part of a culture. They helped foster and add fuel to the fire of the Pokemon craze, and they did that by including 2 different regions. The one that you started out in, and then the new one nobody's ever been to before. And we were so excited to be able to go to 2 different regions in the same game. That's 16 badges. That's 2 whole new Pokédexes. It was amazing. And they also added night cycles and different ways to catch Pokemon, different evolutions, and even a new type. I know all of this is nothing to us now, but back then, when these games were just starting, it was magical. And because of all those things, every time I turn up the volume on my game and listen to the music, I just get captivated and brought back to when I was a kid again. It's almost magical. The music in the game is fantastic, and one of the reasons why Heart Gold didn't win out was because while you get the Game Boy sounds in the game, after you've beaten the Elite Four, what's the point of listening to it at that point? Game's over. Can't restart and use the Game Boy sounds, you lose everything. So with the original, you maintain the soundtrack and all the goodness and all the simplicity that was back in the day. And I just like that magical feeling that I get inside from booting up, Silver, which was my first copy. What would you guys put on your top 10? Or at least what would be your number 1? Tell me in the comments below, guys. Till next time, train on.